All right, people, let's get into it, shall we? Let's get into it. Sorry, it's taking a minute. I'll be drowned out here from the noise. Hold on, let me fix some things. Hold on. I wanted to do this video for a while. Okay, let me pull this up. No! Sorry, people. What's going on, everybody? How we doing? Welcome back to another stream. Let me turn this down a little bit. Let's get this thing queued up. Okay. Welcome into another stream, guys. I wanted to do this video for the last little bit. I wanted to do this video actually a lot. If I'm going to be 100% transparent, I've kind of wanted to do this video every single year since probably Super Bowl. I started a YouTube channel around Super Bowl 54, 55. And so, yeah, like around, Super Bowl 55 and then from there on. But, so what I thought we would do today, let's get into it and let's talk about the agenda and what we're doing today. We're going to talk about Super Bowls. And I'm going to just kind of give my little thoughts and just kind of a quick synopsis of, hey, this is my favorite Super Bowl. This is why this is my favorite Super Bowl. And we'll roll from there. So be sure to let me know in the chat, guys, which Super Bowl is your favorite. We're going for the last 10 because this is probably going to be the title on a lot of videos lately. Because that's the other thing, too, is after whether it's an NBA Finals, a Super Bowl, March Madness, when we have yearly sports end, a lot of people are making videos and going, okay, these are my favorites, and we look over the last decade, and then we start to feel old because we're getting older. Anyways, so if you like the video, be sure to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. So this video, I will say this too. This stream could be 5 minutes. I don't plan on it being 5 minutes. This stream could honestly be an hour, truthfully. But one thing that is for sure is I want to give kind of like, when we talk about each one, kind of like my thoughts, sort of. And like, I think another thing too, with being transparent, is I want to give my prediction on who I had. I think that's another thing where it's like, this is who I picked. This is who ended up winning. This is, and move on from there. So let's get into it now. I'm glad you all are here. As I see a couple people trickling in. Glad you guys are here. So let's get into it. Let's start with, we have our S tier, which is obviously the best of the best. We have our A tier, which is Super Bowls that I think people will probably talk about. We can honestly reduce this down to probably even 4 levels. But what we're going to kind of do is we're going to kind of, I think, because, for example, we know the big dogs and where the big dogs go and the better Super Bowls. But what we're going to do is we're going to kind of move and shift some of them within the list. But I think we should start at Super Bowl 50. So, some context and a little bit of backstory heading into Super Bowl 50. Is Super Bowl 50 was, half century, 2016. Cam Newton was coming off of his MVP season that year, where the only blemish to their whole record that whole season was losing to their rivals, the Atlanta Falcons, in late December. Cam Newton set a lot of franchise records. They went 15-1. Like, this team seemed very poised to, okay, here we go. Last time we saw Peyton Manning in a Super Bowl with a young and upcoming team who had a decent offense and a good defense, Broncos got smoked. And so I do remember a little bit of that feeling watching this game, of how Oh my gosh, Peyton Manning is so old. I don't know if he can win this game because a lot of people. I mean, it was especially cemented with yesterday's game in Super Bowl 60, but this one as well. That defense wins championships, and that is a staple and a sentiment that gets forgotten a lot of how it's a team sport, but b, if you have an elite defense, you always have a shot and you always have a chance. And so I'm going to be real honest. I'm going to put it in the B tier, just kind of middle of the pack. For some Bronco fans, it's probably their favorite. For Panther fans, it's probably their least favorite Super Bowl. I think the other reason why I really like this is Von Miller winning the MVP. I think was really cool, and just that defense, that Broncos defense, had a hell of a game. I mean, people even talk about it now, all these years later, where should Cam Newton have jumped on the football? It's the most infamous question. It's the most debated thing. Where could he have gotten the fumble? Could he not? Which sometimes he's answered those own questions, and he has said and been on reports saying, yeah, I got scared and stuff. Which, here's the thing: if you watch it back, though, he did hesitate, but Lawrence was going to get the fumble anyways. If you watch the replay with just how quick Lawrence's hand was there to strip it out. I mean, Lawrence could have solo just like taken a curl rep or something with dumbbells. Just the sheer amount of strength a D lineman has to scoop a ball back into their body versus Cam Newton having to react, bend all the way down, pick the football up, and just try to jump into the scrum. It could have been one of those things where I think bang bang, and we could see where the fumble would have gone. But I just think with how close Lawrence was before Cam Newton even knew where the ball was, it it was in the barn. I think obviously Lawrence is right there to pick it up, and then the Broncos end up winning the Super Bowl. I don't remember what the final score was off the top of my head, but it ended up being Peyton Manning's last game, and he rode off into the sunset, a two-time Super Bowl champ. And so I'm going to leave this one in the B tier, kind of middle of the pack, where it's not a terrible Super Bowl, but it's not the best when you try to compare against others in the last 10 years. Okay, let's get to Super Bowl 51. Now, this one's going to be really easy for me. This is one of the best Super Bowls of all time. And look away, Patriots fans. I know a lot of Patriots fans and Falcons fans will not. I know a lot of non-Patriot fans and Falcons fans will disagree and say that this was probably the most dramatic Super Bowl because you say a certain number of numbers. You say a certain damn it, I'm butchering the joke here. You say a certain set of numbers. Every Falcons fan, just shrivels a little bit, and PTSD happens. 28-3, and we'll start right there. And all the memes that came from it too. I mean, for hell's sakes, look. Let me show you the memes. Look, I can even look up 28. Like the memes of all the 28-3 memes. Anyways, it was a different time. It's definitely a different time. Did we mess up? Okay, no, we're still good. We're still good. Glad we're still good. But here's how the Super Bowl went, and here's what I remember from it for the majority. So the last Super Bowl that Tom Brady had been in was 49, that infamously ended at the goal line at the hands of Malcolm Butler with an interception. A lot of people were talking about how, I mean, a lot of people thought, okay, the Falcons could run away with this because from the point of view of a Packers fan, like I know it all too well, where, yeah, the Falcons were not a team to be messed with that year because 1 year removed from the Super Bowl, the Falcons took care of business against the reigning NFC champs, the Carolina Panthers. They blitzed through the Seahawks that year. They beat up the Panthers that year, I believe, in the divisional. Yeah, Seahawks in the wild card, Panthers in the divisional, and then the Packers in the NFC Championship. And our defense couldn't stop anybody. I think Julio Jones had 1 or 2 touchdowns. Matty Ice had one on the ground. Like it was one of those games where just the Falcons blew them out, and it was not the Packers' day. After how fun and historic that Packers season was too, where they had a losing record at one time in the regular season, and they ran the table, and Aaron Rodgers told everybody to relax, and it was a fun underdog story for the Packers. And then the Packers found themselves in the NFC Championship game where they were just offensively versus our defense versus their offense. It was outmatched from the get-go, and we saw it because the final score indicated that. And so taking that into consideration and kind of not the cupcake schedule that the Patriots went through on the defensive side, but you look at who the Patriots played in the championship game the week before. They handled business against the Steelers, and if you want to go off of those metrics of how the team performed in its previous game, dude, the Falcons kicked ass. And so why would you not, it's like, why would this change? We're rolling over into our second game and the other game. And from the get-go, I mean, it was an ass-kicking. Brady threw a pick six. Hooper had a touchdown. Freeman had a touchdown. Just the Falcons jumped on the Patriots early. And the other thing, too, that was funny at the time, because some people talked about it, but not a lot of people talked about it, is at the time, age, when we talked about Brady, age was a factor, too. And a lot of people thought, okay, this is the old man in the arena. This guy, he's getting up there in age. We saw the productivity of Peyton Manning start to diminish with age. Little did we know Tom Brady was going to age like wine, because, I mean, this game, for me personally, I think this game cemented Tom Brady's legacy as the GOAT, because this is what gave him his 5th Super Bowl. This was also the game that because he tied Montana, because Montana has 4, correct? I believe off the top of my head, I think Montana has 4. Joe Montana brings, I believe he has 4. Yes. So he tied Montana after Super Bowl 49, and this was the one that gave him, hey, you're the top dog, dude. You have 7. You have the most out of, the history of players. And again, this was before he alone tied the Steelers, because the Steelers have 6, and now Patriots have 6, Steelers have 6. Anyways, so a lot of people were talking about age being a factor, where could Brady, start to diminish in his value. And it showed in the first half, because, the Patriots just looked exhausted. They did not look like, the Patriots that have been successful for many years. And then all of a sudden the ball started to turn a little bit. And then we go to the second half, right after we have the 28-3 meme. I don't remember if the pick six is what made it 28-3 or 21-3. But then after that, that is when the snowball started to roll. And there were a few crucial plays that needed to happen as well. Everybody forgets about it, which it happens. I mean, you have to have a defensive stop where the Falcons punted. Because, there was that where the Falcons punted. And then I believe Amendola had a touchdown. Then after that, you have the Hightower fumble. So then it's 28-10. And then I believe we're in the end of the third quarter, if I'm not mistaken. Well, in fact, here, let's do this. Let's freaking go to ESPN and kind of go step by step through the process of how it happened. Super Bowl. There we go. Because I'm butchering it. I'm butchering it as I'm trying to tell the story. Come on. 2016. There we go. Field goal. James White. Okay, so James White. Oh, the Amendola touchdown wasn't until way later. Okay, and then James White had a touchdown. Okay, that made it 28-28. Okay, but somewhere in this, yes, James White, because James White had 3 touchdowns. Holy shit, I forgot about that. Also, look, dude. Oh, dude, look at the graph. Look at this graphic here. 98.3, 99.3% chance of winning. So we are in the 4th quarter with 10:25 to go. Dude, brew. So, sorry, Falcons fans. Don't mean to trigger you too much. But yes, so we have the White touchdown to get things going. Gostowski also had a field goal. And that, I think that was the other thing, too, is for just like with Kansas City's comeback in Super Bowl 57, all of their drives in the second half, all 5 of them, 5 straight scores. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. So you have the touchdown by White, and then you have Hightower getting the crucial fumble where just came off the edge. And where is it? Maybe they have a photo here. Let me do. Here we go. Yep. Right there. So the Falcons, and again, this is in the 4th quarter. We're under 10 minutes. Like, everything can go. You know, Falcons score on this drive. Game's over. Game's over. But then, yeah, Chris Long and Dante Hightower just come out of nowhere. Blitzed off the outside. Loose ball. Everybody's mad scramble for it. And then, yeah, the Amendola touchdown that gets it back into it. And then I think there was like another 3-and-out stop where Brady had to go on a last-second drive. Because that's the other thing, too, is this was also before the overtime rules were changed between Super Bowl 57 and 58. Because when you hit overtime, Steelers fans know this feeling. Broncos fans know this feeling. When you get to overtime, it was always first team to score wins. And so sometimes there were games where we'd hit overtime, and guess what? One team never saw the ball. Bills fans infamously know it too, with 13 seconds left after beating Mahomes, and then, oh shit, they tied the game. And then they lost the coin toss, and eventually the game. So, anyways, Brady had to go on that last second drive. Amendola, no, not Amendola. Edelman, if I'm not mistaken, it was either on that drive or the drive before. That is where he made his miraculous catch, where this is also, because in this Super Bowl alone, look at this. We had two, look at that. Over, like, only where, I was about to say Stafford. Only where Matt Ryan can throw it, put it only where Jones can go get it. And this too in the game was when, I mean, the Falcons are just giving it to the Patriots. Edelman. Yeah, this is where this play happened, where freaking 3 Atlanta Falcons players, they all go up for it, and only he comes down with it. Hell of a catch. One of the, and like it was hitting off bodies, like it went off of one of the players' shins, and like it was just up in the air, and it was one of the most ultimate ball don't lie moments, because you had the camera right on it perfectly, where that ball did not touch the ground. Miraculous, like how the hell did it not touch the ground? Which Amendola, I don't think Gronk played in this Super Bowl, but Super Bowl 49 as well. Like some of these were the most clutch, like Gronk, Amendola, and Brady are some of the most clutch Super Bowl performances. Now in more recent history, Kelsey's been able to put his name up there too, in um, some of these bouts. But again, at the time, yeah, this catch ended up leading to another touchdown for the Patriots, because the Patriots then, if I am not mistaken, to let's go to all plays. Look at how many field goal, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown to tie it, and then touchdown. All those straight drives with a touchdown, and they ended up winning it in overtime. Which I don't remember. I don't remember. I don't remember if the Falcons got the ball at all in overtime, where if they got the ball, it was a quick 3-and-out, and then the Patriots got it, or if the Patriots got it first and then they scored right away with White and Falcons never saw the ball. I don't remember. It was for me personally one of the craziest Super Bowls to watch, and one of the craziest to just witness, like, holy shit, because it was one of those Super Bowls also where you couldn't turn it off, because it just, I mean, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, slow burn. It was a slow burn where, oh my gosh, they are coming back. Which, and this is why I think, arguably, until another Super Bowl team comes, from behind, I don't think 28-3 will ever be broken. Like, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think that record is up for grabs. Like, I think that's one of those legacy defining things. Like, you look at Harrison's pick six, it's the record. It's a 100-yard pick six. It's not something that's going to be broken. Or you look at Devin Hester's kickoff return in Super Bowl 41. It's one of those where it's like, you know what? This record's not going to be broken. Percy Harvin's punt return. You see what I mean? Which, actually, no. I think Percy Harvin's was a kick return, because I don't think we've had a punt return in a Super Bowl yet. I think that's a stat that's still looming, because there are a few handful of stats. Like, if you're a stat nerd and love weird, obscene stats, I think that's one of them. Where, like, we've had 6 touchdown performances. I think we've had 3 rushing touchdown performances. Like, we've had obscure stats like that. We've had kickoff returns. We've had blocked field goals, made field goals, missed field goals. But the punt return, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think we've had a punt return, because didn't Kadarius Toney set the record in Super Bowl 57 for the longest return? I think I might be onto something. Unless a punt return happened in one of these recent ones that I am mistakenly forgetting, which it's like, whoops. Don't mean to forget that. All right, let's keep it rolling. But for me, Super Bowl 51, with just how crazy of a comeback it was for the Patriots, and just how it cemented Brady's legacy. Which, by the way, I mean, he won 2 more and lost 1. Like, he still had more it's crazy. It's crazy. So, all right, let's get to Super Bowl 52 now. For me personally, I'm going to put Super Bowl 52 also up here in this tier list. And the reason why is because the underdog role of who the Philadelphia Eagles were, and just how that season was for them. In recent memory, I mean, I feel like I followed, like, I'll be honest, with Super Bowl 60, I don't feel like I followed the Seahawks the whole season. I don't feel like I followed the Patriots the whole season. But last year, yeah, I feel like I followed the Eagles the whole way to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 52, I feel like the Saints, Packers, and Eagles, I feel like I followed those teams the whole way from week 1 to the final week. Because the other thing, too, is after, you got to throw this into consideration, too. Even though all the quarterbacks are still they're not young, but a lot, because it is the reality of it. A lot of Tom Brady's Super Bowls, this one, and this one is you notice after Peyton retired, who's standing in Brady's way. You know what I mean? Now there were a handful of years where, yeah, he loses to the Titans, or what was another year? Loses to Nick Foles and the Eagles, obviously, but like, what could have led to Big Ben and Tom Brady having a rivalry right after Peyton left? We didn't get that. It didn't turn into that, like the Killer Bees is what Steeler fans called them, with Brown, Bell, Boswell, and Big Ben. Like that, the Steelers just weren't at the Patriots level. Like it never happened, which is unfortunate. Because if I'm going to be honest, if there was a Super Bowl that the Steelers were going to win, it was Super Bowl 52. Like that Steelers team was so stinking good that year. Same with the Saints, which we might talk about the Saints a handful of times in this video. But yeah, with just Manning retiring and how Manning and Brady would just battle it out, it almost seemed like every single year. Same with Flacco. Flacco and the Ravens weren't doing too good either after Manning retired. It just, like, the AFC, there was no other contender that contested with Brady and the Patriots. And but then 2019 happened and 2018 happened, where it's like, holy crap, here comes the Chiefs. And then we know what happened with the Chiefs, because here comes the Chiefs. Chiefs came out of nowhere. So anyways, that's neither here nor there. Let me talk about why Super Bowl 52 is one of my favorites. That's a little bit of backstory to set up, like, yeah, Patriots had this run where they made it to consecutive Super Bowls. And anyways, but we're talking about the underdogs, and we're talking about the Eagles, and we're talking about why the Eagles winning their first Super Bowl in fifth, because they won. I believe they did what the Browns did, where they won a championship, but it was before it was labeled the Super Bowl, which they weren't able to win one with McNabb back in '39 when they met. Wouldn't you know, the Patriots? Because that's how dominant the Patriots have been. But I think, like, you look at what happened, where Carson Wentz gets injured in week 10 or 11, and then in comes Nick Foles. And the crazy thing too about Nick Foles is they were talking about it because it was a story that followed in that postseason, because the Vikings, Case Keenum and Nick Foles sat behind, was it Bradford? They sat behind somebody. Like, they were the second and third string quarterbacks in St. Louis, because either Bradford was the main dude in St. Louis after getting drafted there. Like, this was 2012, 2011, or something, where, both of these guys, like, they're with Philadelphia. Foles is a backup to, I think, Mike Vick. Maybe. I could be getting my dates mixed up, and it's like, whoa, you're mixing up eras way too much. But, like, Nick Foles had turned into a journeyman. Like, you look at Fitzpatrick. That's a big one, and an infamous one that we all know and love. Or Tyrod Taylor, Taylor Heineke, Drew Lock, Sam Darnold, until he won a Super Bowl. Like, that's who Foles was. Is he turned into a journeyman, career backup, and same with Case Keenum. And then all of a sudden, with some untimely injuries, look at this. They get into the starter role. There's the Minnesota Miracle, where they beat the Saints, which, by the way, I was calling a Saints-Patriots Super Bowl. I was calling a Saints-Patriots Super Bowl for like 3 straight years in a row, because it's like, come on, we got to see Breeze and Brady. We got to see it. It never happened. But, Keenum and Foles, they meet up in the NFC Championship game. The game was not close. The Eagles kicked the Vikings' ass. And then we all get to Super Bowl 52, where it is the biggest underdog story, and like they bought into it, they leaned into it very heavily, because I mean, I didn't think, which is so stupid to think, after the Vikings won the divisional round against the Saints, I was like, okay, well, if I had Saints Patriots and the Vikings beat the Saints, then the Vikings are probably going to go to their first Super Bowl. Plus, it's in Minnesota. Look how crazy would that? And then no, that didn't happen. And so, like they leaned into the underdog role, and it was, I think, until Super Bowl 57, I think it was the highest scoring Super Bowl of all time. Here, let me double check here. Highest scoring Super Bowl. Oh, come on, but that one's okay. It's the highest scoring Super Bowl that's close. Okay. Okay. And then then the Chiefs Eagles one falls. Yeah, because yes, this is 75 points, but look how much the Chargers are getting blown out by Steve Young. That's not a close game. So, anyways, we have a high scoring game, beautiful game, and I believe the Eagles the Patriots were down by like 10 at halftime. It was a weird score at halftime because I think there was a 2-point conversion or like a touchdown and then a missed field goal or something, because I think it was 22-12 or like 22-15. Like, it was a weird score at halftime. But then in the second half, I think Alshon Jeffrey had a touchdown, LeGarrette Blount had a touchdown, Nick Foles infamously had, Philly. So we had the Philly special that gave the Eagles the lead. And then there was Brandon Graham's strip sack on Brady, which I think that sealed the game or led to an Eagles field goal that extended or gave them the lead or something. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But then Patriots had the ball very last, where it could have come down to if Gronk caught the ball, you couldn't debate that it would be the craziest back-to-back Super Bowls of all time, because you had the Patriots win in Super Bowl 51 with a 28-3 comeback, and then a walk-off Hail Mary, which still has not happened in Super Bowl history, but a walk-off Hail Mary caught by Gronk in Super Bowl 52 for back-to-back. You couldn't compare that to anybody else or any other Super Bowl, because it's like, until you have like a walk-off field goal from 50-plus yards, and then the next year you have a strip sack fumble or something. Like, you have to have absurd, crazy plays. But anyways, so Patriots, after trying to eye getting, back-to-back Super Bowl champs, which I think up until that point too, the most recent one was the Patriots one, because I think we had like a 20-year gap where no team except the Patriots had won back-to-back Super Bowls until the Chiefs did it in 57 and 58. But anyways, Eagles win. Like, it's just crazy. One of the biggest underdog stories ever, because no one except Eagles fans, and me included, no one thought the Eagles would win. No one. I get weird feelings like the day of the Super Bowl, where I'll be like, I think the Patriots are gonna win it. I think the Broncos can win it. And then the day of comes and it's like, oh dear. And I will say that's probably one of this Super Bowl in particular, I just had a weird feeling where it's like, what if the Patriots don't go back to back? So, because like, for example, with 57, I can fast forward and talk about 57. The only reason why I bring up this example is because with 55, I was leaning into, the Chiefs just won the Super Bowl, and like all week I had the feeling of, this is where you play Brady, you meet Brady, and I was pissed as hell too, because the Bucks had just beat the Packers. And so I was like, you know what? Yeah, I want the Chiefs to kick the shit out of the Bucks because the Bucks just beat the Packers and the Packers don't get to go to the Super Bowl. So yeah, I want the Chiefs to go kick Tom Brady's ass. And then the night before or something, or day of, I don't remember. I just had a weird feeling of Tom. Maybe it's because I got off the phone with my uncle or something, who's a big Tom Brady homer. But it's like, Tom Brady's still Tom Brady. Mahomes has only been in one Super Bowl. And then right after, because he either told me that or we had that kind of conversation. Because after that, it's like, oh shit, the Bucks are going to win it. What do you know? 12 hours later, game time, the Bucks win it. Anyways, let's get into. So that's why I love this Super Bowl. Just the fact that, you know, Patriots were the over. The other thing too is because with how much the Eagles were leading into the underdog role, a lot of comedians were leaning into the overdog role because of how dominant the Patriots were. So yeah, love that Super Bowl. Super Bowl 50. This was not a good Super Bowl. If I'm gonna be honest, out of all of them, it is the worst Super Bowl, and the reason why it's worse is because just the score, dude. Like this Super Bowl was not entertaining. It just, I mean, 13-3, 3-0 at halftime. If you loved defenses, this was the game for you. I think the other disappointing thing too about this Super Bowl is Jared Goff and the Rams were damn good. They were a really good team. We got the Patriots coming off of a Super Bowl loss, and so there, you know, you can look at a little bit of fuel and aggression for that. And Tom Brady is still Tom Brady. Like just with how dominant the Patriots are in the regular season, and with how many just records that the Rams set. I mean, I believe this season also was the year that the Chiefs and the Rams had they had that like high score Monday Night Football game. Like the Rams like obliterated my Packers. They I think they beat the 49ers too in the regular season, or am I thinking of a different team? But the 49ers, because I think Jimmy G and the 49ers were starting to be good a little bit that year. I could be wrong. I know they were good the next year because they ended up going to the Super Bowl. But just with how good, I mean, dude, you have Todd Gurley, you have Anderson, you have Cooks, you have because I think Brandon Cooks went from the Patriots to the Rams. You have Cooper Kupp. Who else? Like there was just so, and again, Todd freaking Gurley because of how good Gurley is, and just the fact that that Patriots defense shut him down and they could only get 3 points. And then in the same breath too, the Rams defense was phenomenal. I mean, how many videos are there of Tom Brady having to throw the football away early because here comes Aaron Donald? Like it was just, for me, it was one of those Super Bowls where it's like, oh yikes, because I like enjoyment. I like high scoring games. So yeah. Now let's get to Super Bowl 54. I'm gonna put 54 in the middle here. I think, which, oh sweet summer child, if we only knew, because I do remember the conversation around when the Chiefs won the AFC, which I think they beat Tennessee too, and this was also the year where the Chiefs had all those crazy comebacks in the postseason. Like I think they came back from, like, wasn't Houston up like 24-0 or something like that? So they have a comeback against Watson in Houston. This was also when JJ was still in his prime. So you have that, and then they beat the Titans, but then they also had a comeback against the Titans because I think they were the 1 seed, and so they got the automatic bid to the divisional round. But anyways, it's like freaking, you have 2 great comebacks, and then they get to the Super Bowl, and then they're also down to the 49ers in the Super Bowl, and then Mahomes has a comeback. I believe also, Nope, never mind. 2018. I was gonna say this was the year Mahomes. No, this was the year Lamar Jackson won the MVP, because what could have happened and what it should have been, instead of Tennessee, Kansas City, it should have been Kansas City and the Ravens. We wouldn't get that until later this year, but um, yeah, Tennessee upset the Ravens. Yes, yes, it's starting to come back to me a little bit. Um, but I'm putting this one here because it was entertaining, but like to the level to try to compare it to one of these. No. Um, and then the other thing too is, after the Chiefs had taken the lead, it turned into a defensive slugfest. And the other thing too is, Williams had a touchdown very late in that game too that extended the lead. And after, because Tyreek Hill had his deep catch, um, and then Williams had that touchdown, and then like what turned into, okay, there's 5 minutes, 4 minutes left in the game, and this is a 3-point ball game. The 49ers can go score, take the lead. Like it's one of those things that just, it got ugly at the very end, kind of like how Super Bowl 50 was a little bit, where okay, this is where the Panthers can come back, and then that's ultimately where they had the fumble. In the same breath, I would say with 54, that's where Williams had that touchdown up the sideline and extended the lead, and ball game was over. Which I think he had two. I think he had two touchdowns that game. Could be wrong. Let's double check. Schedule 2019. So again, yeah, 20-10. Then Kelsey had his touchdown, and then after Kelsey's touchdown, this is when the comeback started to happen. And then yeah, there must have been a turnover or something in between, because yeah, this is when Jimmy G could have made it 27-24, but then there was, I can't remember if there was a touchdown or there was something, but then Damian Williams ended up having two back-to-back touchdowns. Which super freaking, I was happy about this Super Bowl because I was long before everybody else started to be a Travis Kelce fan. I was a huge Kelce fan, because just he freaking kicked ass. I don't think Kittle was, did Kittle win like Rookie of the Year, something like Kittle didn't bust onto the scene just yet. Or this was the season where he had his breakout, because Kelce, I mean, Kelce broke out onto the scene back in like 2016, because of all the infamous times he's either crashing out on a referee or dancing in the end zone. Like, yeah, it's been a minute, but anyways, so I'll put the Chiefs Super Bowl in the B tier. Great Super Bowl. Not the best, though. All right. Let's move to Super Bowl 55. I'm going to keep Super Bowl 55. And you know what? In fact, if I'm going to rank, if we're going to keep it transparent, let me keep it transparent, though. I will say Super Bowl 50 was a little bit better than Super Bowl 55. Now, why do I not like this Super Bowl as much as I like the rest? Here's why. Again, Packers just lost to Tampa. If there was a year for the Packers to win the Super Bowl, this was it. And I kind of have this weird feeling too about sports, where something tells me if the Packers were in this Super Bowl, I think the outcome would have been the same. Meaning the NFC team would still have taken care of business and beaten the Chiefs. And like there's a handful of years where The Packers could have played the Patriots in the Super Bowl. There were plenty of times it could have happened. There were plenty of times the Saints could have played the Patriots. And then there were times where the Packers could have played the Chiefs. There were multiple years that could have happened. It never did. But, I mean, how sick would a Super Bowl have been? Chiefs and Packers. Throwing it all the way back to Super Bowl I, where you have the Packers' greatest quarterback, arguably, with Aaron Rodgers. And then you have potentially, because at the time he wasn't. Now he is, because he has cemented that legacy. But at the time, Mahomes wasn't the greatest Kansas City Chiefs quarterback. So it would have made for good TV. But I'm going to put this one here because, I don't know, man. Like, just Gronk, I think, had 2 touchdowns. AB had a touchdown. Leonard Fournette had a touchdown. Just the Buccaneers took care of business, and they kicked the Chiefs' ass. It's that simple. And what worked and what was like, hey, look, Mahomes has magic. It didn't work in this Super Bowl. And the Buccaneers just shut him down all game. And it was not close. It was not close. So that's why I'm going to put that one there. All right, let's move to the next one. I'm going to put Super Bowl 56. I'm going to put it up here. And the reason why I'm going to put it up here is I would say around this time is when we started to have a little bit of Chiefs fatigue, which, oh boy, if we only knew. But you look at what the NFC playoff picture was at that point, which I will tip my cap and toot my own horn when I talk about it. Because I've been making predictions forever. I was 6 for 6 or 7 for 7 in my predictions. Like, I had predicted the Bengals would. I don't think I predicted the Bengals getting to the Super Bowl, but I predicted them getting to the AFC Championship game. Or maybe I did predict. Well, damn. Maybe I did predict the Bengals going to the Super Bowl. I can't. Do I even bother? Do I even bother looking it up? Hold on. Let me look. Because if I did, I'm gonna freaking let's go find a photo. Because it's like photo or it didn't happen. Here we go. Because usually you keep your. Oh, nope. I predicted that year. That season, I had predicted Packers Chiefs. I was so damn close, dude. It's not even funny. Look at this. Look at that. Look how accurate. Hold on. Let me make sure. Can it zoom in? Okay, anyways. Like for Rams, Eagles, because out of Eagles, Cowboys, I had this isn't accurate. Oh, whoops, this isn't accurate. Because I don't the Cowboys didn't play the Eagles. Cowboys played the 49ers in that postseason. But anyways, I predicted Rams versus Packers in the NFC Championship. Who did it end up being? Packers. Because here's why it's wrong. The Buccaneers didn't play the Packers. The Buccaneers played the Rams. Packers played the 49ers. Okay, so that's where it was inaccurate. So then where's my predictions one? Where's the... Because there was one. That was a... If the playoffs started today... Let me... Holy shit, I've been on mute this whole time. Sorry, people. Sorry, people. I realize I've been on mute this whole time. Whoops. Sorry, people. Did not mean that. Did not mean to be on mute. I did not mean to be on mute, people. Come back. Come back. Sorry, people. Did not mean to be on mute. Oh gosh. Hopefully I haven't been muted for long. Dude, if I've been muted this whole time, I'm gonna be fetching pissed. Hold on, give me 2 seconds. Let me see. I want to see how long I was muted. Hold on. Stick with me for 2 seconds. We're gonna look. I'm gonna lose. Hopefully it wasn't the whole stream. If it was the whole stream, I'm gonna lose my shit. Hold on. Wait 2 seconds. I gotta listen to something. Unreal. I've been muted for the last 18 minutes. Holy shit. I've been muted for the last 18 minutes. Where's my... So I don't even know if you guys heard my take on Super Bowl this. I don't even know if you guys heard my take on that. You guys didn't even hear my take on the Chiefs and what soured the Chiefs. Okay, long story short, here's the thing. Little did we know how important and crucial this Super Bowl was and how, like, fun it was because it was two fresh teams. Because I think that's what this Super Bowl is, too. Like, Seahawks and Patriots, nobody expected it. Excuse me. But I think I think the hatred for the Chiefs and, like, everybody, you know, kind of getting Chiefs fatigue, I think a lot of it had to do with how it ended, with how they went to 3 straight Super Bowls and then they, you know, got their asses handed to them by the Eagles in Super Bowl 59. And so I think that's what left a little bit of a sour taste, because there's parts of me where, yeah, I liked this matchup a lot. And, like, the fact that it was the Chiefs versus the Eagles, I liked that. I think, if I'm being honest, though, I think I predicted Bengals-Eagles in that Super Bowl because, again, after, like, week 6 or 7, Eagles improved to 7-0. Like, they just beat the hell out of the Vikings or the Cardinals or Saints on a Monday Night Football or something. And, like, it just showed, oh my gosh, this Eagles defense is loaded and this Eagles defense is good, and Hurts is on the come up. Now, has that aged like cheese? It depends on who you ask, because not a lot of people, funny enough, not a lot of people like these two. But so why I liked this Super Bowl, hot take, is I liked how it was a battle between the brothers, the Kelsey brothers. I also liked it too because with this season, because I was talking a little bit about it this year, where how I followed the Eagles the whole season. I followed both the teams this whole season, and the reason why is because of the Kelsey Brothers podcast. Like, I would, in the mornings, I would listen to, and this is when they would go live before it was, like, pre-recorded. Like, this was in the early days, like, long before everybody, you know, started to follow it and word got out. And I think they passed over, like, 1 million subs. But, like, this was back when, Like they actually looked at the chat because they were streaming it live, and like there was still like 3 or 4 thousand people watching at one time, but it wasn't New Heights wasn't as big as it is now. Like it was still in the early days and stuff, and I'd watch it, and I would have my breakfast and stuff. But yeah, so that was pretty cool, fun to watch. And like, yeah, you got your brothers matchup. Kelsey had a touchdown in that Super Bowl, which I liked. It was in Arizona. Loved the logo too. I think the logo played a little bit into the factor of me liking it. I liked how this was also a defensive battle too. Both defenses played pretty well. Hot take: I think Bolton could have won the could have won the MVP because he almost had 2 picks. Like one was a scoop and score, but then I think he almost had like a pick six. Like the dude played out of his freaking mind. I think he could have won the MVP. But then, I mean, we know how it ends, and a lot of people left a sour taste in their mouth because it was a good game. And if you go look at the stats and watch the games, the last 2 Super Bowls that Jalen Hurts and Mahomes have been in, Hurts has outdueled him in both Super Bowls. Super Bowl 57, Hurts played better than Mahomes. Just go watch the game. Now, was one of them, a couple tush pushes? Yeah, but, I mean, with just the performance of how look, a touchdown is a touchdown. You look at this previous Super Bowl, are we discrediting it taken to the fourth quarter till Sam Darnold had his 1 touchdown throw? Are we discrediting the rushing yards that Kenneth Walker had after, because he could have had more, but then that touchdown was taken back? Like, at the end of the day, a touchdown is a touchdown. And when Mahomes started to turn it on in this game, Hurts was able to keep him in it, and he had 2 rushing touchdowns. I'm trying to think of who caught. I think Smith had a touchdown in this. I know he had one in this one because his touchdown was the 40 ball that made it 40-6. Can't remember. Anyways, it was a close back and forth. Let me go here. We'll look it up right now. Have to double check that I'm not muted. Gosh, that is so embarrassing. Freaking. Yeah. 4 touchdowns. Responsible for 4 touchdowns. Yeah, there's the fumble return by Bolton. Isaiah Pacheco, Jake Elliott. Yep. Yeah. It was a good Super Bowl. So it went back and forth all the way. 3rd highest scoring touchdown because we looked at that a little earlier. Because it goes, Chargers, 49ers, and then after them it goes Super Bowl 52 and then Super Bowl 57. Okay. Anyways, but yeah, I liked this Super Bowl. Let's get to the next one. I'm going to put this one here. This one dangerously could be down here as well. But I'm going to put 58 down here because I'll give credit to what the Chiefs did this postseason because, and hear me out when I say this, I think, if anything, if we're talking about rings, I think this Super Bowl is Mahomes' Super Bowl 51, like how Tom Brady had. And the reason why I say that is because what led up to the game. Because everybody, okay, the Chiefs hate is in full force already at this point because Chiefs are coming off of a Super Bowl. And there's a certain singer, I don't know if you know him, anyways, but that followed and lubed over the whole season and, frustrated a lot of people. Anyways, so you have that factor, which a little small known singer. If you know him, you know him. Anyways, again, satire. Hello, satire, jokes. Um, but with where who did they play in the wild card? Oh, they played the Dolphins. Okay, so they had one playoff game at home. Then they played the Dolphins. The stereotype of Dolphins not being able to play in cold weather or sunny, warm weather teams like the Rams, 49ers, Dolphins. You know, the stereotype of, hey, these guys can't play in the cold. There's a reason. And the reason why is because when Tua and the Dolphins played the Chiefs, it was one of the coldest games in playoff history. Game was not close at all. Chiefs just destroyed them. Now, let's get back to the topic of legacy and why this was a legacy Super Bowl and why I liked it. Chiefs had to go 2 road games, kind of like how Drake May did 2 road games this year. Now, Lamar Jackson didn't, break his ankle in the divisional round after they beat the Texans. So, I mean, there is that. But, hold on, let me take a swig. I've been talking a lot, so of course my lips are a little parched. If you guys like sports, I'm glad you guys are here. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you guys are enjoying the stream. I know I've been rambling a little bit, and this has been a longer stream, but I'm liking the flow of how it's going and how I'm explaining a lot of stuff. So I try to keep it quick, but you know me, I just get yapping a little bit. But okay, let me set the table here a little bit for Super Bowl 58. So you have the Chiefs beating the Dolphins. You have the Bills beating the Steelers. No. Yeah, no. Who did the Bills beat? Or were the Bills because the Bills, Ravens were the 1 seed. Who the hell did the Steelers? Yeah, it was the Steelers. It was Kenny Pickett. It was Kenny Pickett's Steelers, not Big Ben's. Anyways, so you have the divisional round in Buffalo, and boy, that was a physical game. There was a lot of shit talking in that one. And we had kind of a flashback to Scott Norwood where there was a missed kick at the very end of the game. And it took a missed kick for the Chiefs to win that game. Because, yeah, Bills were winning the whole, it just, that's how it was. It took till a little bit later in the game for Kelsey to get a touchdown. And it was also kind of like a vintage Kelsey game where, oh, look at that. Everybody else is struggling, but here comes Kelsey having a day. And, yeah, it was a freaking good game. And it took a missed field goal for the Chiefs to move on. So there was one. There's step one on why that, So there's step one on why that postseason run was impressive. Then step two. So you just beat the Bills on the road miraculously. Now you got to go beat the Ravens miraculously. And I think I will give credit to Mahomes. Yeah, 2 playoff road wins before getting to the Super Bowl. It took some late game whoopsies. There's the fumble by Zay Flowers at the goal line. I don't remember too much off the and again I'm going off the whim of my going off by the seam of my pants here. I don't remember the game like it happened yesterday, like all the ins and outs of it. I just remember that Zay Flowers had that fumble, and I think didn't Butker kick a field goal or something to win that? I don't. Here, let's go. There was something. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this was a low scoring. Huh. I don't remember how the fourth quarter went then. I don't know why my brain's thinking this is a higher scoring game. I guess it was just a low scoring. Well, because look at this. Kansas City Didn't score again in the second half. So, yeah, Ravens blew it. Which, yes, but I think the Ravens have gotten enough flack lately, so we'll tone it down a little bit. But, so, yeah, you win 2 road games against your arch rivals, whatever, both in hostile environments, because, yeah, there's a lot of Chiefs hatred going on. And then you have the Super Bowl against the 49ers, who dominated all season, won the West, had a comeback against the Lions in the NFC Championship. And then Christian McCaffrey is having an MVP type year. Purdy is coming back, redemption arc after hurting and getting injured because of the Eagles game the year before. Like it was just a back and forth game. Yes, it was low scoring as well, kind of like the Patriots Seahawks game, but it was low scoring in the way of it was 3-0 after the first quarter, but then Jennings had the touchdown pass to McCaffrey. And so then the 49ers had the lead, and I think Mahomes had like a rushing touchdown in that game too to even it up, where it's 10 apiece heading into halftime. And then it was, I mean, like we can look it up too, it was a field goal fest. Like there was Moody and Butker had field goal and then touchdown by McCaffrey. So 0-0. And we have a field goal. Okay, so it was 10-3 heading into halftime. Then Butker, look at this. Butker just slowly kept the Chiefs in it. Because again, he shanks these field goals, 49ers win the Super Bowl. But Butker coming in clutch, 57-28. Valdez-Scantling had a touchdown, so then KC has the lead. Okay, this is... Then Jake Moody, then Harrison Butker. Yeah, and then it turned into a field goal fest. So I'm forgetting the Valdez-Scantling and the Jennings touchdown. So he threw one and then he caught one. Okay, I'm forgetting that part. But anyways, we go to overtime. Now, a lot of people were talking about why the hell, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. And there was also some things where it's like they should have told the rules and explained the rules in the coin toss. And my only saying to this is everybody at home knew the rules because they said it, and everybody on the field probably knew the rules, even though you have that mic'd up moment from Juszczyk being like, I thought, he said, I can't, it wasn't something like, hey, we called heads and, we got heads, but it was something like, I thought we'd get the ball both, or something along those lines. But I think I made a video too about it where Mahomes just depleted the 49ers. You go watch the game. The 49ers had the lead in the final 2 minutes of the game. Kelsey gets tackled by Fred Warner around, I want to say the 5, let's go look at Super Bowl 58 ending. And hopefully it gives me the ending before we go to overtime. Damn it, that went straight to overtime. I need the ending before we get to... Hold on. Let's go here. Hold on, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Scroll down a little bit while they're having an ad. Let's fast forward a little bit. Okay. Oh, we just had it. Okay. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Hold on, give me 2 seconds. Couple more seconds, people. Hold on. We're almost there. Okay. Now. All right. So let's get to here. Yes. Let's go right here. So, like how I was saying, the 49ers defense was already depleted because Mahomes and the Chiefs already went on a game-winning drive to end the game. And again, like I said, Fred Warner or somebody had a tackle, and they tackled Kelsey like 3 yards short of the end zone. Like Kelsey almost walked this game off. Okay, but then he was tackled short. Bucker kicked a field goal and tied it. Where's the Kelsey play? It's somewhere around here. Nope, not there. Oh, here it is. Yeah, it was just a drag route over the middle. So again, 13 seconds left in the game. Look at this beautiful wall that was made of where, like, whoops, we got him going the wrong direction. By the way, too, Kelsey's played like garbage all game. Kelsey did not have a good game this game. You go watch the tape back. This was his biggest play of the game. So, yeah, Kelsey single-handedly could have walked it off right here because he gets tackled inside the 5 or something. But there's 13 seconds left in the game right now. And Kelsey has one man to beat before he's a world champ. Saved right here. And so then he gets knocked out. Okay. So shout out to 27 for saving the game, because how freaking crazy would that have been of Kelsey walking it off? Which, by the way, he has had walk-off touchdowns like this where he just takes a little drag seam over the middle and walks it to the house. Anybody remember when Chiefs played the Chargers? Monday Night Football. Chargers fans remember. That was back in like 21, I think. Anyways, so you have that play. You go to overtime. I think they started this drive. Excuse me. I think they started that drive with 3 or 4 minutes. So the 49er defense had already been out there the whole remainder of the game. And so to me, it made sense that the 49ers offense went first and they decided to receive the kick instead of defer it, because the truth is it would have put more pressure on Purdy, who, by the way, this is his first Super Bowl, of, hey, yeah, defense, you just gave up Mahomes tying the game with a field goal. We need you to go get right back out there and go make a stop. They need a breather. And so then you trot Purdy out there. And, hey, here's another thing people seem to forget. Moody kicked a field goal in overtime. And so the Chiefs needed to score a touchdown to win. Like, it needed to be a touchdown. It couldn't be a field goal. And then that, after, giving your defense some rest, having your offense go out there. And then also, too, if you send your defense right back out there, they don't get a stop. Mahomes and the Chiefs score a touchdown. You're putting just that much pressure on Purdy to go down the field and try to score a touchdown. And truthfully, in the game, both QBs, it was a tough night. It was a rough night. Like, Pacheco had a touchdown. Mahomes only had 2 touchdowns, and one of his 2 was to Hardman in overtime. So, yeah, it was more of a field goal fest. But anyways, that's where we have the drive. And then we have Hardman in the back of the end zone, overtime walk-off winner, which absolutely freaking crazy. So yeah, this one's a good one. Now, which one is better out of 56 and 58? I don't know. Truthfully, I don't know. But to me, it's not better than 57, and it sure as hell isn't up here. Well, that's just my opinions. That's just my opinion on that. Now let's get to 59. Here's why 59 can flirt up here / down here. Is Saquon Barkley is one of my favorite players, and so to see him win a Super Bowl, fantastic. I don't know if I gave any closing thoughts or remarks of Super Bowl 58, but I would say because of the playoff run as well that led up to the Super Bowl, that would also put this Super Bowl in the A tier as well, which is also why the Bengals one is up here in the A tier as well, because both teams respectfully, with the Rams and with the Bengals, they had to have a lot of things go their way in the postseason. Because parts of me also think if the 49ers don't beat the Packers and the Packers have to go play the Rams, there's parts of me that think the Packers can beat the Rams. Legit. There's parts of me that think that, but nope. 49ers beat the Packers, and then Rams beat the who the hell did the Rams beat? Oh, they beat the Bucks. Yeah, they beat the Bucks. And again, crazy walk-off finish. Bucks were winning that game. But then, yeah. So, anyways, yeah. Super Bowl 58, great Super Bowl. Like, there's no... You can't... Here's the thing. You can't, as much as, you know, we want to hate on the Chiefs, can't take away from the fact that they beat the Bills and they beat the Ravens. Like, they went through two. The only team that they're missing is going through the Bengals in the wild card or something, you know what I mean? Because that seems to be the three biggest rivalries now. And then moving forward, we're probably going to throw the Patriots in that mix, but it's neither here nor there. So, anyway, that's how I feel about that one. And more than anything, I think other teams beat themselves, which is lucked in favor for the Chiefs winning as well too. Because yeah, Bills make that field goal, they're in the championship round against the Ravens, and then who knows what happens in that game. And then in turn as well, if Flowers doesn't fumble and Lamar plays a good game, because that's the other thing. I don't think Lamar played a good game in that AFC Championship game. I don't think we look at that AFC Championship game the way we look at his divisional round game against the Bills the next year, where, dude, Lamar did everything he could. He played his heart out, and they still lost. I don't remember how he looked at it. Anyways, that's how I feel about that. Okay. I'm putting the Eagles one here with 59 because, well, and the other thing too, badass logo. One of the best logos out of the last 10 years. So that's another reason why it's here. Because if I were to rank the last 10 Super Bowl logos, probably the best one is this one. This one, or this one. These are the three best. Like, the 51's cool, but, like, it is a logo that is 10 years old. Okay. Back to it. Why do I like Super Bowl 59? So we have Barkley here, like I was mentioning, one of my favorite players. Leaves the Giants because he had one successful playoff win with the Giants when they beat the Vikings, but we saw how that ended. And with how Eagles just took care of business in the playoffs, they beat the Rams in the divisional after a defensive stop on the Rams' final drive. I think Barkley had 1 or 2 touchdowns in that game, and then in the championship game against Washington, Barkley just kicked ass. He had 2. Dude had 2 touches and 2 touchdowns on the first 2 plays for the Eagles. Like, it was phenomenal. Like, Barkley was just playing phenomenal, like how McCaffrey had for 58 the year before. Like, he was playing so good. It was fun football. It was good football. And then we get to the rematch where, yeah, I wanted a Bills-Eagles Super Bowl. I'll be real honest. So, yeah, the Chiefs' fatigue at that point had then set in. And the other thing, too, with the Chiefs that particular season is you look at the one possession games. Luck, just kind of like how it was for the Broncos this year. Luck was on their side and in their favor, where, yeah, there were games where, oh my gosh, they're going to lose. And then look at that. Lutz misses a field goal. And then Broncos lose, Chiefs win, and improve. Like, yeah, it was a crazy, crazy year for the Chiefs, just in general. And, but then I think it only lasted so long because parts of me feel like it's kind of poetic, where if your team is a fraud, you will get exposed. And there's something like with all of these Super Bowls where I'm like, in a sense, that is kind of true, excluding this Super Bowl, and this Super Bowl, because Falcons were a damn good team that year. Eagles barely beat the Patriots, and then Hurts and the Eagles, you know, Hurts outperformed Mahomes. It just took Mahomes to have a last second drive and a field goal and a lot of people look at it as a controversial flag, but so anyways. Um, Bengals, I don't think the Bengals were too much of a fraud that year. But anyway, well, hmm. Oh, I'm trying to, because I don't think the Panthers were a fraud. Okay, I guess, yeah, the Chiefs. Chiefs. Um, Chiefs. 49. 49ers weren't frauds, though. Like, they took care of business all year. Same with the Rams. Hmm. Anyways. Chiefs, Patriots. No. But it was real fun to see the redemption of the Eagles coming back, and yeah, they were missing some key pieces that were there that lost in '57. Like Kelsey had retired, they got a new center. They changed around some of their coordinators. Who else? Obviously, they got a different running back with Barkley. I'm trying to think. Any other? I'm trying to think. If there are any other pieces. Um, I think just key additions on the defensive side of the football too. But yeah, they took care of business, and for me personally, was the game entertaining? No, because it was a blowout. If anything, it should be down here. But for me personally, and probably for a lot of football fans too, it was pretty relieving to watch the Eagles just beat the hell out of the Chiefs, because like if you watched a lot of those football games all year, it's like I don't know how the Chiefs keep winning. And then all of a sudden they have to come play the Eagles, and the Eagles were not messing around that year. The Eagles bullied a lot of people that year. I think I mean, hell, they even bullied the Packers too in that playoff run as well, because the one seed was the Lions. But I think the Lions could have gotten to that Super Bowl as well. But the reason why the Lions didn't go is because they got exposed hard by Washington. That's probably where all these exposed teams are too. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like they got left in rounds behind. But I think injuries also plagued the Lions that year too. Just like how when we look at this Super Bowl, what could potentially here, let me move it right here before we do anything. What could potentially alter people looking at this Super Bowl is the what ifs of, yeah, what if Bo Nix didn't break his ankle, or what if CJ Stroud didn't throw 4 interceptions, or what if the 49ers weren't as injured as they were. Because I like, and I think it's funny that as a collective unit, the NFL fan base agreed that the Super Bowl was the Seahawks and the Rams the week prior, which was pretty funny. But all right, anyways, it's things that happen every single year through one way or another, like where something different. There was a game or something that led to other games, like how, case in point, nobody thought the Eagles were going to win Super Bowl 52. Anyways, moving on, because I've been almost rambling for 2 hours. With our recent Super Bowl 60, I'm gonna put it down here, and the reason why is, it to me, I like touchdowns. I like touchdowns. I like defense. I like comebacks. I like overtime. I like I like flat. Like to me, it's cool to have an elite defense, like how the Broncos were that year, um, or the Eagles this year, because the Eagles did have a dominant team. But then in turn, what I like too is I like to see, yeah, if the Bucks are dominating the Chiefs and exposing them, you know what I like to see too? I like to see the Buccaneers capitalize. And sure enough, you saw what the final score was in that game. The Buccaneers capitalized. In this game, as you know, I'm gonna keep it, I'm gonna keep it fair and I'm gonna keep it kosher. That um, both quarterbacks kind of, not saying the lights were too bright, but this was a defense versus defense, whichever one breaks first is losing. And I don't think the Patriots defense lost this game. Yes, they gave up one touchdown, just one. They gave up 5 field goals. This game, like kind of like how the Seahawks Broncos one was, if the Seahawks capitalized and finished every single drive and they weren't kicking 30-yard, 40-yard, 20-yard field goals in the red zone, this is like 50 plus, you know what I mean? So I don't think it was um, I don't think it was the Patriots defense that lost them the game. I even post game gave a lot of praise to the Patriots defense and said they played their freaking ass off and they were stopping the Seahawks. It's their offense that couldn't get anything going. Um, I don't think Drake may have played well. There, I said it. I know, brutal, brutal take, but he did have 2 touchdowns, but a lot of those touchdowns, you look at his yard totals. Yes, he had more yards and he had more touchdown passes than Sam Darnold, but it was in garbage time. You know who has a lot of touchdowns? He's going to catch a random stray, and I don't mean it this way. You know who has a lot of yards and touchdowns in garbage time? Dak Prescott. But you want to know a reason why Dak Prescott hasn't won an MVP, even though people talk about his yards and stuff? Wins. Wins are a QB stat, and wins are the most important QB stat. And when you look at Prescott, for example, um, playoff wins and postseason wins, there's not a lot there. Okay, you look at Stafford, there were a lot of big wins this year. You look at Allen or Lamar Jackson last year, there was a lot of good wins, a lot of wins against teams that, hey, you're a playoff team, we could potentially see you later. And then touchdowns too, but big wins. And then, oh gosh, who won it the year before? Mahomes. And then what did Mahomes do that year too? Also to follow up with winning the MVP, he won the Super Bowl. He won the damn Super Bowl. So I think the moment probably could have been a little bit too big for Drake May and Sam Darnold, because both quarterbacks kind of underperformed until the fourth quarter, which you could say the same thing for this Super Bowl. But the truth is, with this Super Bowl, it was tight the whole way. Both teams were getting first downs. Both teams were kicking field goals. Both teams, were competing. With this one, Patriots, it took a long time before the Patriots could get a first down. And after the handful of punts that happened, you were kind of like, man, the Patriots, they ain't getting anything done. So I know, crazy stat, crazy thought to think, but yeah, I'm putting this one down here. But again, with the 2 touchdowns, and technically, if you want to look at stats for Drake May outplaying Sam Darnold, because I saw the stat, 200 something yards worth of his total night. All that happened in the fourth quarter in garbage time when the game was already out of reach. Now, he could have, and this game could have gotten very interesting if he didn't throw that interception to Love. Like the second that Darnold hit Bernard in the end zone and scored that touchdown, and it was like 19-0, and it's like, there's the game, it's over. But then three plays later, Drake May hit a beautiful ball. I'm going to give him credit on that. It was a good ball to Hollins, and it's 19-7 or 12-7. Here, let me double check. Let's double check one more time. Which, funny enough, we haven't even talked about this. Parts of me that thinks he leaves. There's parts of me that think he is gone. Okay, it was 19-0. Yeah, 19-0. 3 plays later, Drake May hits a 35-yard bomb to Hollins. So I will give him credit on that. Like, it was a good ball, but again, game's over. There's 6 minutes left in the game. No, there was 12. There's still 12 minutes left in the game. So there something could have happened because Myers then hit the field goal. But in between here, because this isn't saying every play to play, this the Nwosu touchdown, that was the second. Because we thought it was a fumble. In real time, it was an interception. When May could have made it 14-19 with still 10 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. That's when he just airmailed it to Love, and then Seahawks took that back, and so scored some points, extend the lead, and then the Patriots got the ball again, and then that's when the Nwosu touchdown happened, where it's like, hey, yeah, this game is over. So that's where I have this Super Bowl. It either one. It could be this one or this one. I can't put it I'll put it a little higher than this one, and the only reason why, score, you could look at score, but then also redemption from Super Bowl 49, because that was a big storyline people were talking about coming into the game. But yeah, that's how I feel about that Super Bowl. And I'm interested to see where, truthfully, I'm interested to see where both teams go from this Super Bowl, because we thought, hey, these two teams could get together again. This Super Bowl could happen again. Brady left. He went to the Bucs. Not immediately after, but shortly after. And then it took a long time till the Rams got back. And then they also had to change a quarterback, because Goff ended up going from the Rams to the Lions, and then they had that trade. Patriots went through a couple quarterbacks. Seahawks, oh gosh, they haven't been relevant since Super Bowl 49. Like, just slowly, little by little, pieces of the Legion of Boom getting traded away or retiring. Russ not playing like how he was at the beginning of the season of his career. Like, yeah, it took a while, but like, what I'm interested to see, and I talked a little bit about this during the post-game reaction, is Broncos haven't been back, Panthers haven't been back, Falcons haven't been back. It took, like, Super Bowls aren't guaranteed, and like, I'm gonna listen to the players and former players who've played the game when they talk during their interviews, where they say, hey, winning is hard, and every game is hard. Like, as kind of a little Bengals fan, like, there's little parts of me that's a Bengals fan, and I root for Burrow, and I root for or there are parts of me that's a Ravens fan because I root for Lamar and Mark Andrews. And notice how the Bengals haven't been back to the Super Bowl. As much as, dude, the Bengals beat the Chiefs. Chiefs don't stand in the way. Like, they're not a team to be feared. The Bengals can make it back. They can make a run. Bengals haven't been to the postseason. Bengals haven't had that chance to make a run. and get back to the game because they keep freaking missing the postseason. And so like how with how Bengals fans might feel, or Panther or Broncos fans, I'm interested to see where Seattle goes or the Patriots go, because I'll say it right now, do I think they're gonna meet each other again in Super Bowl 61? No, because guys, it's gonna be the Dolphins and the Bears. Just look at the logo. Yeah, bullshit. Get out of here. Because one of the top comments I saw in the memes was like, it's like, the Bears I can see, but who the hell are the Dolphins going to trot out at quarterback? Because last I know, they benched Tua. They benched Tua for Quinn Ewers. You know which two quarterbacks are going to be on the move this offseason? Ding, ding, ding. Mr. Murray. But yeah, we'll figure out about Rodgers, if Rodgers hangs out around for another year. What else? So, anyways. So, that's going to be it, guys. That's going to be my list and my reaction and rankings to the Super Bowls, the previous 10. A lot of this inspiration came from, I wanted to do a, you can't rank national anthems because it's like, nobody's better than Whitney Houston. When you get to halftime shows, though, you can kind of go, well, you know what? I liked this one a little bit more than that one. Because we were talking about halftime lists and stuff. But I was like, you know what really is, just goes on anybody's opinion, and it's very opinion based with like everybody, and no two lists are the same as Super Bowls. Like, because if you ask a Broncos fan which Super Bowl was the best in the last 10 years, Super Bowl 50, duh. And then you ask a 49er fan how they feel about these two Super Bowls, it's lower than D, you know what I mean? So that's what that was my thought process coming into making this list, and this video is I mean, if it took me 2 hours to talk about 10 Super Bowls, how long is it going to take me to talk about 60 Super Bowls? You see what I mean? So I thought I'd just have fun and look at the previous 10 Super Bowls, including the one that we recently just had. But this is my list, guys. Let me check one thing real quick, and then we're going to wrap up the stream. So people on the shorts end, we're going to give a heart out. I thank you guys for being here. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, we're going to end that. Sweet. I feel super bad for the people on the shorts end, because it's like I was muted and I had no clue that I was muted. But they're, yeah. Anyways, let me double check over here. No, we're good over here. But yeah, guys, that's gonna be my thoughts on the last 10 Super Bowls. You know what? Because it's given me thoughts and ideas. There's parts of me that want to do like the last 10 World Series or the last 10 Stanley Cups. Like, that'd be fun. You know what I like a little bit though, and it's kind of the aura, more or less, of the Super Bowl, is talk about men's national championship for football or basketball. You talk about the NBA Finals or the Stanley Cup. It is always the year. It's always the 2016 World Series. It's always the 2023 Stanley Cup. It's not a title of Super Bowl 56. It's not a title. Like, it doesn't have a numerical. Now, if you want to break it down and go, yeah, which, like, here, let me look. Which World Series number? How many? 21 times. Okay. So it rolls off a little bit better off the tongue, the 2025 World Series versus World Series 121. Okay, that rolls off the tongue just a little bit better. Considering that, 121, 60, played through some world wars, started up in the 60s. No, but, which I think the Stanley Cup is the same. How many Stanley Cups? Oh, yeah, let me look. I think the Stanley Cup is more. Nope. Wrong. I think NBA Finals is at 78. '79 NBA Finals. Well, but I think the same thing with the NFL is I don't think they started to call it the NBA Finals until a couple years after the fact, because, case in point, the NBA 75 logo. Okay, this was to celebrate 75 years of the NBA. This was the year that the Warriors won it. Okay, because this was 2022, and we're now on 2026. So, okay, now we're... Oh, wait, shit. Did I mess up on my math? Because didn't... Oh, well, hold on. 23 would be 76, 24, 23, 24, 25. 23, 24, 25. Oh, okay. Never mind. So, okay, the numbers are the same. Well, just if you know the history and the lore of the Super Bowl, yes, the first Super Bowl was actually called just the NFL Championship. We didn't start calling them the Super Bowls till... Let me show you. Because there is proof. Is this clear? First World Championship game. That's what they called the first one, was the championship game, because it was the NFL versus the AFL. And then Super Bowl 3, after Broadway Joe Namath called a shot saying, "Hey, we're going to win it." Like, that is when the leagues merged. And then I believe Super Bowl, I think it was always titled the big game or something like that, but not until after the merger of the AFL and the NFL, where, you bring the Colts over, you bring, the Jets over, not because you had the two leagues running simultaneously. Not until after that Super Bowl was won, and then it became one whole league and one transparent league. Not until then was it then advertised and called the Super Bowl. From my knowledge of what I've been taught, that's what it was. Because you didn't... Funny enough, back in the 60s, labeling and branding wasn't the biggest thing. You know what I mean? This is when... Let's look at Super Bowl tickets, for example, for fun. Super Bowl 1 ticket prices. Okay. This is back when it cost $12 or $6 to get into the game. Okay. You know how much Super Bowl 60 cost? Roughly. That's not it. No, that's not accurate. That's not accurate. Let's go to... This isn't accurate either. It was Vegas. Vegas was the most expensive Super Bowl ticket. There we go. 12 grand. That looks more correct. Because there were Super Bowl ticket prices for a decent bottom of the upper bowl or top of the lower bowl in Super Bowl 58. They were running single tickets into the 17 grand area. Anyways, all right, guys. Enough of me rambling. Those are my thoughts on the last 10 Super Bowls. Crazy, huh? So I thought I'd just give my fun little reaction to um, this. These are some of my favorite Super Bowls. This is my thoughts on them, um, and I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. So we're gonna end it here, but yeah, those are all my thoughts. This was a fun video to make. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Like I said at the top of the stream, this is something that I've been wanting to do for a little while because um, every year we have the Super Bowl and then we start to go, okay, let's rank the last five. Okay, let's rank the last 10. Let's rank the last 15. Because there have been 60 freaking Super Bowls. So, anyways, I will catch you guys in another stream. Peace out. I will catch you guys in another stream.